What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and let's jump into the comparison of the Artificer Armorer subclass in Unearthed Arcana from the subclasses Part 3 that came out earlier this year, compared to the Artificer that is published in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. In this, we will also, towards the end, be covering the infusions. There were a couple of new infusions added for the Artificer. I did not cover them under the optional class features, as they're not technically optional class features. They're just choices you can make as it was reprinted. So what we're going to do is similar to what we had for the alternative class features. We are going to have the right side be the Unearthed Arcana and the left side be the main published book here, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'll also say, if you have not taken a moment to subscribe to the channel, now's probably a good time to do so. I will be continuing to do coverage of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything until I've covered pretty much everything and gone through a good comparison. So here we have the Artificer. So what they're going to get is Tools of the Trade at level 3 in the Unearthed Arcana over here. Proficiency with Heavy Armor and Smith's Tools. If you already have this, you gain proficiency with a different type of Artificer's tools. That remains the same. You get spells as you do with every subclass. It was Magic Missile and Shield. That has since changed to Magic Missile and Thunder Wave. I think that that's a little bit of a loss to the Artificer in the armor for sure. Shield is a fantastic spell to have access to, but Thunder Wave is nice damage too, so okay. Mirror Image and Shatter is the same. Hypnotic Pattern, Lightning Bolt, Fire Shield, Greater Invisibility, and Pass Wall and Wall of Force. So really the only swap is they took out Shield and added in Thunder Wave instead. We had it was originally called Power Armor here, and it has now been switched to Arcane Armor. And basically, as an action, you turn a heavy suit of armor into Power Armor, which you now change into Arcane Armor, provided you have Smith's Tools, and it gets the following benefits. Unearthed Arcana says if it has Strength requirement, it now lacks that. That is true. For the new published source here, you can use the Power Armor as a spellcasting focus, the same. It attaches to you and can't be removed against your will. It also expands to cover your entire body and replaces any missing limbs. All true. We also added in here, you can don or doff it as an action. That was not previously a part of it. And then it says it continues to remain on you until you die. Then, or choose to take it off. Then we have an armor model. It's basically 2 models here you get to pick from. When you choose this subclass here, you can either be a guardian or an infiltrator. It also states here in the beginning, when you attack with the weapon's attacks or special features, you can use intelligence instead of strength or dex for the attack and damage rolls, and you can change out the type on a short or long rest. So Guardian originally had Thunder Gauntlets. They each deal a d8 thunder damage on a hit, and a creature hit by it has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you due to the distracting pulse or hum. That seems to be exactly the same till the start of your next turn. Yep. And Defensive Field was you gain a bonus action that you can use on each of your turns to gain temporary hit points equal to your level in this class, and that was unlimited. It is now, you can gain temporary hit points equal to your level in the class. However, you can now use this proficiency bonus times per long rest, as well as previously it was just an unlimited resource of hit points. And the Infiltrator had the Lightning Launcher. You basically get your Iron Man fantasy on as you shoot out beams of lightning. A simple ranged weapon with a range of 90 feet and a long range of 300. Deals a d6 lightning damage on a hit. And once on each of your turns, you can choose a creature that you hit and deal an extra d6. It is the same, a d6 lightning, 90, 300. And then once on your turn, you can deal an extra one. And it also had Powered Steps, increase your movement speed by 5 feet. And it had an ability here called Second Skin. The armor's weight is negligible. If it normally imposes disadvantage on stealth checks, it doesn't do so. It is now called Dampening Field. It says you have advantage on stealth checks. If it normally would impose disadvantage, it's now just a straight roll. Extra attack, that's the same. Armor modifications at level 9. Your power armor can now be separated into the armor, the boots, the bracers, and a weapon. Each one of those can be individually infused, and your total number of infused items increases by 2. But those 2 extras must be from your power armor. I believe that is the same. They changed it to be armor, boots, helmet, and the special weapon. It was armor, boots, bracers, and the weapon. They can each bear infusion. Same thing, 2 more, but they have to be part of the armor. And then lastly, perfected armor at level 15. When a creature you can see ends its turn within 30 feet of you, this is for the Guardian, you can use your reaction to force them to make a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be pulled 30 feet towards you. And if they are within 5 feet, you can make a melee attack as part of that reaction. This used to be intelligence modifier times prolonged rest. This looks to be the same, 30 feet, use a reaction to pull them. Pulling the creature up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. If they're within 5 feet, you can make a melee weapon attack. This is now proficiency bonus times prolonged rest. And the Infiltrator used to have any creature hit by your lightning launcher glimmers. The glimmering creature sheds dim light. The next attack roll against that creature other than you, hit by a creature other than you, has advantage. And if it hits, it deals an extra d6 lightning damage. They still glimmer, and now it has disadvantage on attack rolls against you, as the light jolts it if it attacks. In addition, the next attack roll against it has advantage, and if it hits, it takes damage. So they actually buffed that. It now not only do they glow, they have disadvantage on attack rolls against you, the person casting it, or using it, but now it used to be a creature other than you has advantage. Now the next attack roll that's against it, similar to a guiding bolt, has advantage, and then it does an extra d6 damage on a hit. Next, what we're going to do is jump down to the infusions, because we have some new infusions here, and then we'll compare them to the existing infusions from subclasses part 3. So, one we don't have here is Arcane Propulsion Armor. This functions remarkably close to the Arcane Propulsion Arm, a magic item that was added in Eberron Rising from the Last War. This requires a 14th level Artificer, and it's a suit of armor that requires attunement. It increases the wearer's walking speed by 5 feet, and here's the propulsion part. They can basically shoot the gauntlets off or throw them. Each one deals a d8 force damage on a hit and is a thrown weapon with a normal range of 20 feet, long range of 60 feet, and when it flies off, detaches, and come back, so you can kind of like rocket punch people. The armor can't be removed against the wearer's will, and if they're missing limbs, it replaces it. I don't know. I don't believe it's designed that this can then work in conjunction with the Armor Guardian, where you can punch and then your arcane propulsion does extra damage. It sounds like this is more designed for folks who are not the armorer. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think you can stack the damage? I don't believe that's the intention. Then we had Armor of Magical Strength. It used to be a 10th level requirement. And it's while wearing this armor, a creature can use its intelligence modifier in place of strength modifier for strength checks and saving throws, and has 4 charges as a reaction to being knocked prone. They can expend a charge to not be knocked prone, and it gets back a d4 charges daily at dawn. That has since had the level requirement removed. They can also now, when it used to be, what was it? They add their intelligence modifier, or they could use their intelligence modifier in place of strength modifier for strength checks and saving throws. Well, now it's when they make a strength check or saving throw, they can expend a charge to gain a bonus equal to their intelligence modifier. They can still do the reaction to not be knocked prone, and it's 6 charges, and you get a d6 back at dawn. Then we have the Helm of Awareness, still 10th level requirement. Advantage on initiative, can't be surprised. That is the same. Mind Sharpener here. 10th level requirement originally. Advantage, I'm rereading. Mind Sharpener. While wearing this infused item, whenever the creature fails a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration, they can succeed instead. That was just unlimited. You could just choose to succeed whenever you failed, which is pretty nutty. Now it has 4 charges, and you have to expend a charge as a reaction to succeed instead. And you get a d4 charges daily at dawn. It was a very specific infusion, the fact that it would just be like, okay, well, you can just choose to succeed whenever you fail as a reaction. Them limiting it to a number of times daily kind of makes sense to me, because like it's sort of like a mini legendary resistance where you can just choose to succeed when you fail. But it is a waste of one of your limited infusion slots, so I could see it going both ways, but I think they probably landed on the more balanced side. And lastly, we have the Spell Refueling Ring, which used to be a 6th level requirement. Looks like it still is. While wearing the ring, you can recover 1 expended spell slot as an action. The maximum level of the recovered slot is equal to the number of magic items the wearer is currently attuned to. Once used, it can't be used until the next dawn. So that was actually pretty nutty, because you could get up to a 5th level spell slot if you were attuned to 5 magic items. It has since basically been changed to be a lesser pearl, or basically not lesser, a pearl of power. You can recover 1 expended spell slot as an action. It has to be 3rd level or lower, and once it's used, it can't be used again until the next dawn. I'm not sure why spell refueling ring is an option here, because I'm pretty sure pearl of power is something you can get with your infusions, with your replicate magic items. Maybe I'm wrong, and then I'll just feel like an idiot. But yeah, I guess I'm wrong, so I should feel like an idiot. Okay, so that explains it. Because for some reason I thought Pearl of Power was an item that you could replicate with the replicate magic item infusion. Turns out you can't, so they just made it its own separate infusion if you want. So that's it, folks. That is the comparison to the Unearthed Arcana. I don't think there was anything too crazy. The biggest change was not letting you have unlimited temporary hit points, which I can completely understand that choice. And the fact that you don't just have you don't ignore disadvantage on stealth checks. It actually gives you advantage on stealth checks, which for all intents and purposes for armor that would give you disadvantage, it basically cancels that out. But if you're wearing light or certain medium armors that don't provide disadvantage, you now have advantage. So that's actually a little bit of a trade-off and a benefit. It did everything it used to do, but better now. And then, yeah, I think everything else pretty much stayed the same. And then again, the Infiltrator, the later on option, was better. It now, rather than just advantage, it's disadvantage, advantage. And a lot of the infusions that had higher level requirements, some of them were removed entirely. So I think the Armorer lands on the side of the balance, in my mind, was done well. And I think it's pretty cool. I'm not sure what my favorite Artificer is overall, but I do enjoy it. One thing I did want to point out, though, that I remembered to look at and think it's kind of funny. Remember how we talked in the optional class features about how why didn't they include the Xanathar spells? Well, if you look at the Artificer, it says each spell is in the player's handbooks unless it has 1 asterisk, which means it's from this book, or 2 asterisks, which means it's in Xanathar's guide, which means that they did this effort of the double asterisk for Xanathar's guide for the Artificer. I get it because it's being reprinted for the first time, but that does technically mean they could have had the expanded spell lists for the other classes also have Xanathar's spells. Oh, I should point out the extra new spells from this. It's going to have the reprints of all of the cantrips here, right? Booming Blade, Green Flame Blade, Lightning Lure, Sword Burst. I don't believe the Artificer in Eberron Rising from the last war had those. It's also going to get Tasha's Caustic Brew from this book, as well as, I think the only other one, Intellect Fortress from this book, and then at 4th level here, Summon Construct, also from this book. So a slight expansion to the spell list above what was contained in Eberron Rising from the last war. But either way, the Armorer is out of the way. The continuation goes on. We're going to go through alphabetically. So if you're waiting for your specific class, keep that in mind. I did Artificer Armor. We're going to do the 2 Barbarians, then the Clerics, then the Druids, and so on, all the way till we get to Wizard. And then we'll move on to things like spells and feats and all the other good stuff. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.